Hi, I'm Gavin Newlands, and here we have an update on the encryption tool in Primer. When building complex models, data can come from a variety of sources, and when you have multiple include files coming together, it's perfectly possible for some of those include files to be encrypted, and this can cause issues when you're building and working with your models. So here we have two models in Primer. The first one is not encrypted in any way. The second one is encrypted. The material cards and associated curves have been encrypted, and this is common practice. So first of all, let's look at the material data in these models. So we have the material data for model 1, and that's available as expected, it's not encrypted. But for model 2, the material data is not there, we can't look at it. And that is expected as well because that data is encrypted. But not having access to material data and the material type can cause issues when working with your model. If we run a model check, you can see that for the model 1, the unencrypted model, it's clean, no errors. For the encrypted model, we now have errors. Because Primer does not know about the contents of the encrypted data, Primer thinks material information is missing, even though in reality it's not. You can see here we have errors where Primer is expecting entities to be connected to rigid parts. However, Primer does not know which parts refer to rigid materials, as the material cards are encrypted. Finally, as density information is missing, accurate mass calculations are not possible. Here we're looking at the mass calculation for model 1, which is correct. But for model 2, the encrypted model, when we do a mass calculation, we get incorrect results. Let's look at current functionality. So Primer can read, store, and write encrypted data. Now, encrypting can be grouped broadly into two types. First is full encryption. And what we mean here is that the entirety of the material card and associated curves have been encrypted. So the material type, the material label, and all the material data, the entirety of those keywords have been encrypted. Now, partial encryption is when just some of the data on individual keywords has been encrypted. And this has advantages as you are still able to see the material types and labels. This allows you to carry out checking more robustly or renumbering of the model. However, it's trickier to set up and manage as you are encrypting many small chunks of data rather than just one block of material data. So Primer can handle partially encrypted keywords well. The encrypted data is stored with the keyword and written with the keyword in the correct place. To help tackle some of the issues I've mentioned, particularly when working with materials that are fully encrypted, it's possible to create metadata that provides Primer with some basic material information. Primer can then use that information for its functionalities such as model check and mass calculations. So this information is stored after star end, so it's not used by LS-DYNA. So partial material encryption has benefits over full material encryption, but it may be difficult to partially encrypt many keywords over multiple models and includes. Also, the Primer metadata can add value, but it previously had to be created manually. In Primer 18, we've added a tool to help with both of those bottlenecks. The encryption tool makes it easy to fully or partially encrypt materials and associated curves in your model, and automatically create metadata to make it easy to work with encrypted models in Primer. So here we have a model in Primer. It is not encrypted at the moment. We can access the new encryption tool through Tools, Other, Encrypt. Now, when you first open this panel, you will be asked to link to an external program that actually does the encryption. Please see our documentation for more information about that. So here we can select the materials and curves in the model that we want to encrypt. So if I just select all in this example, and here we're fully encrypting those materials and curves, and that's done. So if we look in Primer now, we now have two models, the original model and the second model which has been created, which is now encrypted. So we can change this to just do some partial encryption on those selected materials and curves. But we also have an options panel here where you can change the behavior of the encryption. So first of all, you can choose the encryption key that you want to use. And also we have various options for the metadata that you want to create to help you work with the encrypted model going forward. So once happy with those options, again, you can click on Encrypt. So in this case, we're partially encrypting all the materials and associated curves in this model. Now that was previously a very time-consuming process, but now can be done at the click of a button. There we go. A new model has been created. If we look at the model list, there we have model 3. So that is the original model, but all the materials and associated curves have been partially encrypted. We can now write that out and run that in LS-DYNA. So Primer's new encryption tool makes it easy to encrypt material data in a number of ways on complex models and should save you a lot of time. If you'd like to know more, please get in touch.